Everyone is talking about Yamal, Rafinha, or Lewandowski, but the real secret of Barcelona's future isn't who you think. At 22, Pedri isn't just almost Iniesta. He's already doing things Iniesta himself never even dreamed of. Relaxed shoulders, eyes constantly scanning the pitch, as if he's been playing professional football for 15 years. This isn't just talent, it's a frightening reality. Long before the Golden Boy Award, before the Camp Nou ovations, there was a kid on a small volcanic island 1,000 miles away from Catalonia. While Gavi had been sharpening his skills at La Masia since the age of 11, absorbing Barca's philosophy, Pedri was just that guy from the Canaries. Not a wonder kid, not an academy star, just a boy playing for Las Palmas, a club Europe had barely heard of. Iniesta was raised inside the academy system. From childhood, he was taught positional play and control. Pedri came from the streets, from playgrounds in Spain's second division. And yet, every time he received the ball, his body open, his eyes up. It felt like the same DNA was flowing through his veins. Just a couple of weeks after arriving at Barcelona, Koeman simply threw Pedri into the starting 11. 17 years old, a club in crisis, immense pressure. But instead of hiding, he made the ball his shield. Every pass calm, every decision precise. It didn't look like a debut. It felt like déjà vu, as if Iniesta had quietly returned in a new body. Try pressing him, and you'll understand what defenders feared about Iniesta. The ball seems glued to his boots. Double pressure doesn't work. He escapes with a turn of the hips, a pivot, a subtle touch. He doesn't break the press with strength. He dismantles it with geometry. By the time a defender commits, the ball is already 2 moves ahead. At 18, he became the youngest player in history to start a European Championship knockout match. He carried Spain's midfield through extra time and the entire tournament. Luis Enrique didn't see a kid. He built the system around him. Pedri responded with 76 progressive carries, the best mark of the tournament. He made the team of the tournament and won the Young Player Award. A few months later, Pedri won the 2021 Golden Boy, finishing ahead of Bellingham and Musiala. And he didn't just win, he earned 318 points, 3 times more than Bellingham. If you look at the numbers at club level, they're just as crazy. By the age of 20, Pedri had already played over 100 matches for Barcelona in the Spanish national team. In the 2022 to 2023 La Liga season, Pedri averaged 7.4 progressive passes per game. For comparison, Iniesta's peak in 2008 to 2009 was around 6.8. Pedri ranks among the top 5 midfielders in Europe for total progressive passing distance, the ground his passes gain moving the ball forward. The Champions League tells the same story. In his first 20 matches in the competition, Pedri averaged 2.5 key passes and 6.1 progressive carries per game. Numbers Iniesta only reached closer to his 30s. Against Napoli in 2022, he completed 57 passes and created 4 chances. That's not the stat line of a talented youngster. That's top player output. And when the pressure was at its highest, like in El Clasico at the Bernabeu, Pedri recorded 96% passing accuracy and delivered the winning assist, outshining even players like Modric and Kroos in overall impact. But the most frightening part is his consistency. Analysts use a metric called negative impact matches, games where a midfielder's passing accuracy drops below 80%. So guess how many Pedri had over the entire season? 0. Not a single one. Even Iniesta, in his very best years, had 2 or 3 such matches per season. This isn't potential. This is already production. It's elite level, even by legendary standards. The phrase tactical genius often sounds exaggerated. But watch Pedri for 90 minutes and you realize it's not hype. He doesn't build his reputation on flashy highlights or tricks. He builds the game through decisions. Hundreds of small decisions, each made a fraction of a second before everyone else even understands what the problem was. Pedri is impressive defensively too. He doesn't always sprint at full speed because he reads the game. He understands angles, timing, intercepts passes, and wins the ball back in midfield. It's part of his DNA. He may run slightly less than other midfielders, but he occupies the right spaces. And that too is a form of leadership. Yes, he's young, but teammates already point out how he organizes the press, how calmly he asks for the ball when chaos breaks out on the pitch. In high-pressure matches, Clásicos or Champions League knockouts, Pedri is already controlling the tempo and space in a way that even veterans are forced to respect. That level of football intelligence is rare. And now that you know all these facts, a question arises. If Pedri is this good, why is he talked about so little? Why aren't there millions of TikTok compilations of him? The answer lies in perception. The spotlight at Camp Nou has shifted elsewhere. First to Gavi, the wonder kid who fights like a street warrior and celebrates like a rock star. Then to Lamine Yamal, already breaking records. A world obsessed with highlights finds it easier to sell Gavi's crunching tackles or Yamal's tricks than the invisible work of a metronome. He doesn't shoot from 30 yards or score hat tricks. He changes the angle of the entire pitch with a 5-yard pass. Modern analytics see it. With Pedri on the field, Barca generate 0.18 expected goals per minute. Without him, only 0.11. But to the average viewer, it just looks like a safe pass. The magic isn't in one moment, it's in the chain of actions. Pedri himself doesn't fuel the hype. He barely uses social media, rarely gives loud interviews, and lives quietly in a suburb of Barcelona. Forbes once calculated footballers' online engagement, and Pedri didn't even make the top 50, despite having more than 6 million followers. While Premier League stars post every trick and highlight, the visibility gap becomes obvious, and the global decline in La Liga's appeal after Messi and Ronaldo left has done its part. Broadcast ratings have dropped, while the Premier League keeps breaking records. Pedri can dominate an El Clasico, but even a random Arsenal player scoring a brace on the same Saturday will draw more global views. And then, the injuries. In 2022, he played only 26 matches. In the 2023 to 2024 season, just 19. Without him, Barca earned 0.42 fewer points per game. Pedri executes long diagonals perfectly, switching play from flank to flank. The accuracy of those passes consistently ranks him among Spain's best young midfielders. And when it comes to splitting defensive lines, his vision becomes razor sharp. Under tight pressure, he threads passes into spaces most players don't even see. We all know this. Predicting greatness in football is a dangerous game. Injuries, transfers, tactical chaos. One season can be enough to send an entire career off track. But with Pedri, it feels different. Not like a prediction, but like an inevitability. Inside Barcelona's dressing room, he is already seen as a future captain. Teammates talk about how he asks for the ball in the toughest moments, how he corrects the defense's positioning during the match, how he carries himself with the confidence of a veteran. When Busquets handed over the captain's armband in friendly matches, Pedri was one of the first young players trusted with it. Leadership isn't waiting for him at the end of the road. It has already arrived. Awards are only a matter of time. Ballon d'Or voters love numbers, but they love stories even more. Pedri has both. If Barcelona return to the top of the continent within the next 3 years, he will be at the very center of that team, and the Ballon d'Or always finds the conductor of the orchestra that wins. Pedri is the pillar around which we are building the team, said Barca's sporting director. His release clause is over €1 billion. Numbers like that are reserved only for players who are not for sale under any circumstances. A crisis may force the sale of anyone, but not Pedri. The same genius that once conquered Europe has now found a new body. Pedri is not merely inheriting Iniesta. He is honoring and elevating his legacy. Barcelona's greatest midfielder may not belong to the past. He may simply be playing right now, in the body of a 22-year-old with a childlike smile and a radar in his feet. The world just hasn't realized it yet.